aptly named DethKarz, spelt with a K and missing the A, is a futuristic combat racer that is just as awesome and straight to the point as it sounds. It's a bit light on content and a bit vague in terms of setting, yet it's hard to knock it for any of these minor faults because at the end of the day, it's an enjoyable and satisfying arcade racer. While plots aren't exactly key to a successful arcade racing game, DethKarz goes out of its way to be especially vague. You're an elite racer chosen to drive in dangerous, exotic circuits on this world and beyond. That's about all you need to know and about all you're going to get to know. There are 4 main areas. Metro City is a futuristic maze of skyscrapers with the track winding between massive buildings miles above the ground. The Grand Keys is an oceanic reserve full of natural beauty, with the track moving through the rocky seaside and out over top of the water. The Pole is a frozen mountainous region, with the track winding in and out of the valleys and caves. Finally, the Red Planet is, presumably Mars, with a thick red haze covering the track and huge factory structures lining the terraformed surface. There are glimpses of the world at large, with billboards in Metro City and the industrial surface of the Red Planet, but it's not exactly world building, but again, nor does it need to be. DethKarz features 3 main modes of play: Arcade, Time Trial, and Championship, with multiplayer rounding out the lot. Championship tours players through 3 4-race tournaments, with players having to essentially podium in order to unlock the next tier. Each of the 4 aforementioned locations have short, medium, and long courses. In order to play these variations, as well as play with new cars, you'll need to have unlocked them in Championship mode. Thus, while 12 tracks spread across 4 locations, all built upon one another, may not sound like much content, it ends up being quite fulfilling. The first 3 short tracks in Metro City, the Pole, and the Grand Keys aren't too hard to get the hang of, but the Red Planet is substantially more challenging, and players will likely find themselves hitting the Time Trial or Arcade modes to practice this course before being able to beat it in Championship mode. A lot can happen over the course of the default 5 laps, with races running well over 5 minutes, especially in the longer variations. It takes a lot of practice and memorization to get the courses, especially the Red Planet, down, but chasing new lap times is incredibly addictive. There are a variety of cars, all of which vary in terms of stats and gear count. Colors, manual or automatic transmission, and equipped default weapons can be adjusted before each race. The game can be controlled with a keyboard or gamepad, and while I played with the default setup on a keyboard, it's certainly not the most ideal setup, and adjustments are best made, though that's not to say it's unplayable. You can shift, if playing with a manual transmission, accelerate, brake, reverse, change between one of several camera angles, fire your default weapon, or use your weapon or power-up picked up from the course. Only one of these weapons/powers can be held at a time, and they cover the garden variety of combat racer fare, like shields, homing and non-homing weapons, etc. Your held weapon is shown at the top of the screen along with your placement, while your speedometer is shown in the bottom right corner, and your life bar on the left. Your default weapon has unlimited shots, but is dependent on a charge, meaning you can only fire off a certain number of rounds before the rate of fire slows, with halting your fire charging the battery up once more. With 20 combatants per race, things usually get quite hectic. Though the AI isn't overly aggressive with its default weapons, they will fire at you with pickups, and your health will likely go down quite a bit during the race. Luckily, there is a pit lane near the start of each lap where you can drive through and recharge your health at the cost of losing some time. Though slowing your pace and firing off at other cars is satisfying, playing too aggressive will ensure you stay at the back of the pack. Because there are so many other drivers, it's not feasible to simply kill everyone else in order to win. DethKarz is a racing game first, and you'll need to have your shifts and turns down pat in order to win, though a quick trigger figure can help thin the herd. DethKarz is an odd game in that it's a gravity racer with wheeled cars. These aren't your Wipeout or Mag Racer type hover vehicles, nor are they the trick and transforming cars of San Francisco Rush 2049. Yet you'll spend a lot of time in the air thanks to the track's big jumps and wide runs. You'll also find yourself flipping and spinning about like you're in a Hot Wheels playset commercial. The fact that such futuristic car builds have knobbed rubber wheels at all is a bit weird. I may be thinking about this too hard, and overall the lightweight physics don't harm the game that much. In fact, the amount you fly off the track is well handicapped by the quick respawn times, allowing you to keep much of your momentum, lessening the frustration of failure. I tried DethKarz on 2 different Windows 10 systems and had relatively similar results on both. It's got that great 60 FPS arcade speed, and aside from some tweaks with the graphics at startup and a few odd in-game crashes to the desktop, the game ran well. Cars reflect light nicely over their shimmering metal panels. The backgrounds have a lot of detail and movement to them, making each track interesting to look at as it zooms by. The soundtrack is a great collection of that hard, rot-your-brain-out techno our parents were so afraid of at the turn of the millennium, and suits the racing perfectly. Each car also has its own unique mechanical sound, furthering the immersion. Some of the car animations can look a bit stiff, however. There is no damage modeling, with the only tell as to how damaged a car is being whether or not it's smoking, connoting need of repair. When you destroy another car, the vehicle lifts up and drifts forward regardless of the terrain in front of it. It looks odd, though the explosion following thereafter is extremely satisfying, with a loud boom and bright flash of light accompanying a screen shake. DethKarz is easy to pick up and play, but takes time to master. Though you don't get much to start with, playing through a few rounds of Championship is fun enough, and most hardcore arcade racing fans will be inclined to perfect their runs and move up to the next rank, unlocking all of the game has to offer. It's a straightforward and vanilla racing experience, nothing you haven't played before. But it's so good at being a combat arcade racing game that even if you played all the best in the genre, DethKarz is still one you'll want in your library.